Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back, and it is time for another Starcraft 2 Probots cast. Today we are going to be having ourselves a match I'm excited for, which is not something I say super often because I am used to more saying that for actual players, but when it comes to Starcraft bots, these two bots are actually some of my favorites, I think. Of course, we've got the tried and true MicroMachine, who seems to be the main spectacle, I'd honestly say, of the Probots. I think MicroMachine does seem to be the testing bot for a lot of bots. It's just a very, very solid bot. And taking on MicroMachine is going to be JensiiiBot. JensiiiBot, cool name and cool play. From what I recall, JensiiiBot is a bot that plays more human-like in a sense. It's not so much about like microing individual units and stuff, and its builds do tend to look more normal in a sense. If you're looking at like a human player and then you're looking at JensiiiBot, they look more similar. Now, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, as per usual, if you do enjoy these kind of Probots commentaries, make sure to go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel too if you haven't and you enjoy this kind of content. I think it's one of the few places, this channel, that does regular pro StarCraft 2 AI bot replay casts. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe if you do enjoy this content. And let's try and hit 50 likes on this video. Actually, 51 likes. Let's shoot for the moon on this one. That would be amazing. And yeah, looks like as far as the builds are concerned, we've got the typical TVT, Terran versus Terran variation. We see JensiiiBot has got a double gas opening, so a much quicker factory, whereas MicroMachine has elected to go for a Reaper expand, and then is also going for its bunker, so it can do that more rapid gas mining. And I'm actually going to watch this bunker finish up, ignore the SCV dying in the background. Yeah, I want to see like how the SCVs behave as soon as this bunker finishes up, because currently there's 3 and 3 in each, right? Then this bunker finishes up, and then it's just 2, 3 SCVs get jettisoned off, and all of a sudden the bot's mining with 3 SCVs, which is really cool. JensiiiBot drops a little smiley face. I'm not sure what that one's about in particular, whether it was about the SCV dying or what. For now, that we do see the Reaper of MicroMachine going to jump into JensiiiBot's main base, scouts the starport, and says, "Going for air units, your fleet will not match mine." And yeah, this actually looks like a very, very standard build from JensiiiBot. MicroMachine, aside from the bunker, playing pretty standard too. Yeah, very, very normal play. Looks like JensiiiBot's Reaper and Hellion are going to be pursuing one of those of MicroMachine. That's going to be a bit of a bummer for MicroMachine if it does lose that, which it does indeed. There's going to be another Reaper that pops out, but that one's also going to get surrounded and killed. So all of a sudden we've got 2 dead Reapers for MicroMachine and not a lot on the front of MicroMachine, basically. So we're going to be able to see JensiiiBot start to bully MicroMachine a little bit until the first factory unit's out. This is pretty par for the course for Terran versus Terran. Reaper grenades going down for JensiiiBot, but all of a sudden SCVs are having to be pulled against Reapers and Hellions, which is no good for the blue Terran. We see these Reapers even going to kill them. Most likely. Any SCV that was at this natural base is going to die, and then JensiiiBot gets up the lower expansion. This is basically the equalizer in TVT. MicroMachine went for the more economic play, but took damage as a result, whereas JensiiiBot went for the more aggressive play and is getting up its expansion. But then things tend to equalize after this. In TVT, we do see though that as soon as that one siege tank's out, it's basically just like, yeah, party's over, guys. And the Reapers and Hellions get shooed away. Taking a look at the gas income, interestingly enough, we see the gas income for MicroMachine does display lower than it seems to be displaying a little bit lower, but then it actually just went higher for MicroMachine, so I don't know what's what. Yeah, these bunkers really are a curious thing, but yeah, it's actually mining. Well, that's because it just got up these gas geysers. That totally messes with it. I should have looked sooner. But now we take a look, we see the Hellions for JensiiiBot going to be getting elevated into the main base of MicroMachine. JensiiiBot drops another smiley face. I'm really not sure what those ones are for. It's kind of just like that crazy guy on ladder who spammed the random emotes. But now we see the Liberator and Hellions coming in for JensiiiBot. The Liberator gets set up, SCVs are going to run away. The Hellions not targeting down the SCVs optimally yet, but that big group of blue SCVs is starting to get pursued. Definitely some lost mining time here for MicroMachine. The Hellions aren't actually going to kill too many SCVs, but then there's also the Reapers at the natural, which are getting some kills off. And it really looks like MicroMachine is kind of being toyed with here by JensiiiBot as, well, I wouldn't say toyed with, but definitely taking solid blows here. That JensiiiBot dropping the casual thinking emote. Thinking. Thinking I just killed off like 30 of your SCVs, which is actually an insane number. And I'm gonna look away from that bunker because that is loud. Now, MicroMachine is gonna go on the counter-offensive, as it said there. We'll see if JensiiiBot's gonna be able to hold on, but it's gonna have to be a lot of damage done by MicroMachine if this game is gonna get evened up. We take a look here. Third command center gonna be popping up now. Yeah, the natural base just happily mining for JensiiiBot. Reaper goes down that jumped up for MicroMachine. We see the Marines moving forward, the tanks moving forward, but the fact that there is a Raven that's in position for JensiiiBot means that, or two Ravens actually, means I don't think there's going to be a lot of damage done here by MicroMachine. The Marines are moving forward for JensiiiBot. The Ravens will move forward though. Will an interference matrix be cast? The answer is no, not yet. It's actually just going to be doing tank juggling there, which is really, really impressive behavior by JensiiiBot, it appears. I mean, it's using its vision and basically just using the tank range to get the shots off, all the while shutting down that Banshee harassment. And now that's actually some bot behavior, which I haven't ever really seen before, partially because it's not like I always cast the bot TVTs, but that's actually something that I find really, really incredible. The fact that you program a bot to basically say, well, for starters, the behavior is not to just kind of yeet all its units into that siege tank. It's then to recognize that there's no air units for MicroMachine, which would also give vision on your own tanks. So then you can capitalize on your own air control. That's some really impressive behavior, whether that was like entirely intentionally programmed by the developer of JensiiiBot or not. That is something that I find quite impressive. Now we see Stimpak on the way here for JensiiiBot. There's the extra barracks going on up, and this does look like normal bot Terran play, all the while MicroMachine, as per usual, is going to be going for the kitchen sink approach, which is basically make Vikings tank. That'll probably sometimes it starts making Reapers. It likes to chew out its single Marines. But this is where I think JensiiiBot, while having an incredible lead from the start of the game, might just fare better later at the end of this game too, because I mean, MicroMachine's all about sort of splitting up, taking fights all over the place, but Stimmed Bio is very much about taking a fight in one place if it wants to. I mean, of course, Stim Bio can drop all over, but Stim Bio, Stim Forward, win, snipe down the few siege tanks there are. The sort of guerrilla warfare approach that MicroMachine uses is something I'm going to be interested to see how well this works against JensiiiBot. We see two armories on the way for each player now. Third base going up for MicroMachine, keeping in mind that MicroMachine from this point out basically had lost the game early on. So if MicroMachine can turn this one around, this is going to be really impressive. It is relying heavy on that Viking production, as a couple are just... There's always the special Vikings, as these other ones are just hanging out, conglomerating, whereas these two are just doing their thing. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a rather tough comeback for MicroMachine, but there is a chance that JensiiiBot's going to make a folly of an attack. We see siege tanks getting shots off already. The Vikings are coming forward. Anti-armor missile goes down on the army of MicroMachine. The Vikings of both bots are kind of moving forward. It's currently 9-8. The Marines are softening up some of MicroMachines, though. Notably, JensiiiBot doesn't have combat shield yet, so those Marines are very susceptible to attacks. And once again, the tank range, the vision being utilized by JensiiiBot, allowing it to pick off a tank that belongs to MicroMachine. MicroMachine now, though, is really conglomerating its Vikings, and I'm not sure if there's going to be possible headway here for JensiiiBot any further, aside from the basically stim all your Marines forward and pray approach. But when there's this when there's a few siege tanks. I'm not sure that this is going to be a good possibility. JensiiiBot just instead once again decides to drop the smile. The relevancy there, I am not sure. Banshee for MicroMachine out on the map, working away on some SCVs. However, based on the fact that the SCVs have +1 armor, they're actually not going to go down in 2 shots, which is a pain if you're someone who's trying to micro a Banshee. Reaper's now coming on in for MicroMachine, going to be working away on this sensor tower. Might actually get it because of how weak sensor towers are. The grenade bounces like a dozen Marines. Possibly the best Reaper grenade ever. We take a look, but the Vikings are still just moving out for MicroMachine. We see a fusion cores now on the way for the bot. That's interesting. We'll be seeing battle cruisers potentially, or it could just be for that Banshee speed. I get the feeling that it probably will be. Although I believe we definitely have seen battle cruisers from MicroMachine. JensiiiBot's getting up this 4th base. So both bots are just macroing up. I mean, MicroMachine has got up that 4th base itself soon, and is basically back up in the worker count. So there's not too much to worry about for MicroMachine. JensiiiBot sitting back at home is an interesting thing, because then it brings up the question of which bot has the better late game. And as far as the sort of skirmisher trades go, if JensiiiBot is going to take a passive approach here, there is certainly a chance that MicroMachine may be able to whittle down JensiiiBot. We do see all these Marines for JensiiiBot moving out, looking for a bit of a stim sneak attack here. This is something that's actually fairly common for this bot. It's one of the signature moves in which it actually tries to grab the command centers, interestingly enough, as opposed to going for the SCVs. But it looks like it will get this command center, going to pick off the 4th base, now going for the SCVs. This is some behavior from MicroMachine that the programmer has set in. Yeah, this is an effective way to utilize units if you're later in the game. Just program the bot to go for these small attacks, and all of a sudden JensiiiBot dropping a smiley face and then running out with those Marines. All the Marines die, but a base was killed. It was totally worth it. At the same time, the MicroMachine securing up another base, but then we see more Marines moving out on the map. So yeah, that's quite interesting. 3-3 is on the way for JensiiiBot. There's also vehicle attack. There's no upgrades yet for MicroMachine, so this very well could be important. We see MicroMachine is setting up tanks to defend this 4th base this time around, making it another orbital command. Those Marines do decide to turn around and run away, however. And yeah, that little harassment behavior is one of the reasons why I really love JensiiiBot, as it's very just intelligent program, like specific behavior, realizing this is a good way to utilize a bot's resources. It's not like there's some overarching grand plan to make that the bot decided to go ahead and do that. It's basically yeah, if you're at the stage of the game, decide to go for a counterattack like this, it's probably going to work out pretty well. And we've seen that it continues to be an effective strategy. Anti-armor missile goes down. Raven usage by JensiiiBot. Going to hit the Vikings of MicroMachine. The Vikings going to be engaging each other. It's currently 14-16, but then when you factor in the anti-armor missile, that could be significant. Battlecruiser comes in to try and turn the scales, but then we see an anti-armor missile used on it. The Vikings trying to pick off the battlecruiser, almost gets it, but not quite. The SCVs with the clutch repair going to keep that boy alive, and all of a sudden we see the dance on the 2 fronts here. A lot more idle on JensiiiBot's side. MicroMachine dancing its units all over the place, but once again we do see the tank volleys seem to be going the way of JensiiiBot. Vikings are engaging each other constantly. JensiiiBot making more Ravens, more Vikings. Same goes for MicroMachine, though, just going hard on the Vikings. I'm curious to see if either bot is going to start those ship weapon upgrades. I think we may see that from JensiiiBot, as another armory is on the way, and that is important when it comes to sky versus sky battles. JensiiiBot stimming its Marines to zone away the Vikings. That is good behavior too. Zoning them out, but not running into the enemy siege tank. Fire is something that's very cool. 3-3 is also on the way for JensiiiBot too, which is going to be significant, that's for sure. 3-3 Marines are no joke against non-upgraded Terran units. We also saw another Marine counterattack shut down a base that was attempted to be established by JensiiiBot, or by MicroMachine. JensiiiBot now coming in with these Marines working away on the barracks. The interesting barracks that MicroMachine just doesn't have usage for stim yet, but it likes to keep spending its mass mineral money. Is that range upgrade on your missile turrets, or are you just happy to see me? Says MicroMachine. The answer to that is Not yet, but it's starting, interestingly enough. Which makes me wonder, did MicroMachine scan and see that? Or was that not the case and it's just assuming? I don't know. That's actually interesting. Yeah, now we take a look here. There is just lots of bases going up for both bots. It does seem that JensiiiBot has been getting the better trades and such. But at the same time, it is important to note that, yeah, MicroMachine's maxed out once again in a mech bot. A mech Terran is very scary maxed out. A lot of Vikings are in the composition for MicroMachine, but there's still a good enough count of siege tanks to zone the Marines away of JensiiiBot. And we're going to have to see if JensiiiBot's going to be able to handle this at some point. The Viking trades are just not going to be going well if JensiiiBot continues to fight against this count. And it's got to be careful not to keep eating these siege tank shots, but it is, so losing a boatload of Marines, so big losses, probably the worst losses this game of JensiiiBot. MicroMachine, cancel, relaunch the offensive. The tank positioning, though, is just a little too good, it would appear, from MicroMachine on top of this ramp, getting some work done. JensiiiBot having to halt its push. The 3-3 upgrades, though, are rather important, I'll say, for JensiiiBot. Armor on the way now, too, so really going to be rocking that upgrade lead. We're finally seeing the first upgrade go up for MicroMachine at 16 minutes in the game on those Vikings. It is important, though. Anti-armor missile goes down. We see the battle cruiser pushing forward, though. This is just starting to look a little bit concerning for JensiiiBot as, yeah, MicroMachine pushing forward, and this could simply be one of those situations which the behavior of JensiiiBot will never lead it to have a victory here against MicroMachine. Is MicroMachine going to continue to push forward? The Marines are just not going to be able to make the break happen. We're starting to see JensiiiBot bleed off more and more units. It might be time just to go for a counterattack or something. That's what a human player would think, but whether JensiiiBot's ever gonna see that as a solution or something, or just ever see a really big push forward as an option, I'm not sure, because if MicroMachine keeps this up, just keeps reinforcing, I think it's just gonna bleed JensiiiBot dry. JensiiiBot tosses down the smiley face. I still don't know what those are for. I really don't know what those are for, but yeah, we see Orbital Command being worked on, or Planetary Fortress, pardon me, is going to go down. That belongs to JensiiiBot. On this front here, it's just not looking good for JensiiiBot. The Viking count is starting to turn in favor, however, as JensiiiBot did pool up a decent number of Vikings, so it's currently 10-7, so potentially JensiiiBot can have the air control, but then, of course, that's not taken into account the VCs, the Cyclones on the ground for MicroMachine. So JensiiiBot continues to be bullied away. At least it's got the space in the top right established. It's trying to secure up this space here, but that gets scouted by MicroMachine. Because the Marines now have combat shields, but still no stim pack, which is interesting to say the least. And yeah, this is just not looking good for JensiiiBot. I mean, MicroMachine does have that better late game behavior, it appears. As, yeah, rough times for JensiiiBot. Lots of non-stim Marines for MicroMachine moving out on the map. Just continuously spending that money. JensiiiBot really being pushed now as MicroMachine has taken over basically the entire map, happily mining. This Planetary Fortress will hold its own until a siege tank shows up to deal with it, but yeah, I am getting rather concerned here for JensiiiBot. Although it does look like MicroMachine has turned away from the mass Viking production, interestingly enough. And it is actually giving JensiiiBot control of the skies with all these Vikings. And we saw that it was kind of the Viking control that let MicroMachine push forward, so there is a chance now that if MicroMachine doesn't regain the air control with the Vikings, that it could potentially throw away this good position. This Planetary Fortress is still holding strong for now. Marines moving forward, but they're not going to get too much done. Vikings moving up, though, going to deal with this. I mean, MicroMachine's all over the place, but we are seeing that MicroMachine is now starting to be the bot to blow to... or to take losses, to take blows there. And by the way, I just want to point out the casual APM of MicroMachine. 140,000 APM. That is ridiculous. Oh my god, I'm surprised my PC is not melting. Yeah, we do see JensiiiBot starting to push away MicroMachine as MicroMachine, interestingly enough, is changing up its composition. It went away from the composition that was working against JensiiiBot, and I wonder why that behavior is. Why did elect to do that, as we do see now it's going into Reapers and Cyclones, which aren't good, as I mentioned before, against that sort of consolidated Terran Bioforce. It was the tanks and Vikings that were making it work against JensiiiBot. But now JensiiiBot's actually gonna be bringing it back a little bit, it looks like. I mean, MicroMachine's just fallen in supply. It's investing in a lot of extra production here, but just starting to trickle out units and just bleed them off, it would appear, as the supply count has now fallen quite a bit. A random Reaper jumps up into the main base of JensiiiBot. Liberators are now on the way for JensiiiBot, interestingly enough. I suppose this is part of capitalizing on top of the Viking control. The skies, we see an attempt at an expand here by MicroMachine. MicroMachine does have a greater portion of the map. It's mining the gas here, which is important. It actually miscalled a mule. That's interesting. Was this a misrally? Or was this just a miscall down? Huh. I find this really curious. What could cause a bot to make a mistake like this? It's also got these two SCVs idling. Is that a missed rally or something? Huh, I wonder. If I remember, I'm gonna go back and look at that. But yeah, now we actually see tank of JensiiiBot gonna be looking to push forward on MicroMachine's side of the map. This one Marine is still being a pain. Cyclone will come clean it up. Cyclone being microed a little bit too hard here, actually causing a derpage by MicroMachine. Gonna let its own Cyclone be killed off, so we are starting to see a few derps here with unit positionings of MicroMachine. And I'm just curious, is this a side effect of going at 130,000 APM or something? Like, it looks like it's just over-microing this SCV right now, which is causing it to stop. Like, yeah, it just keeps reselecting this SCV, so it's actually a bit of buggy behavior, it appears here, from MicroMachine. And now this is gonna get a little bit concerning, as MicroMachine's just been bleeding off units non-stop. There's Marines rallying across the map. It's not consolidating, it's not building up a higher Viking count. I mean, it's got a lot of Vikings, but they're more or less all over the place. And then we see JensiiiBot also just getting its final upgrades too, so gonna keep taking better and better trades, and all of a sudden, MicroMachine, while it had a really commanding position, seems to be faltering here, as it's just, yeah, rallying Vikings over here to be shot by this one Marine. These SCVs are kind of just derping out. And this SCV is still going. This does seem to be some significantly buggy behavior here from MicroMachine. We see JensiiiBot is going to secure up this expansion, although the siege tank actually blocked that expansion from being taken. So, tank, move, please. The tank's going to move. Will the command center land? Yes, it will. That's good to see. We see, yeah, just MicroMachine really running out of steam here, and there hasn't been a significant battle for quite a while. It's really just been MicroMachine rallying out, like, odd numbers of Marines here. And yeah, there hasn't been a tank made in quite a while, which is odd because the tanks were the thing that was really having MicroMachine the success. Yeah, and that makes me wonder how MicroMachine's unit choices are made. Like, is it just a time of... Is it like based off of how good its economy? Is it based off the time of the game? Is it based off of what its opponent has that encourages MicroMachine just to rally out like 5 Marines at a time here? Which is clearly not working. As, yeah, I think JensiiiBot's gonna have this one as MicroMachine loses this one, but then again we thought, or at least I thought anyway, that JensiiiBot was looking to be dead if MicroMachine continued the course, but then yeah, just some missed rallies by MicroMachine. It's cruising at 140,000 APM still. Yeah, that's something. Like, what's it microing at 140,000 APM though? What's it constantly reselecting? These SCVs, I guess, just reaffirming their actions. I don't know, calls down a mule there. JensiiiBot dropping the happy face as it's now assaulting this base here. And yeah, MicroMachine really running out of gas. Glitching out a little bit, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Join the Discord, which is linked down below. And if you do want to support the channel, show your love for these Probot casts, consider becoming a YouTube member. There's various perks, and it does show that you enjoy these videos. Yeah. Really great game, I think. Showcased a lot of interesting bot behavior. Showcased MicroMachine's unit composition strength early on, but then how it decided, or I guess how it transitioned out of it. It showcased how MicroMachine, with its, the the tank Viking, it was working really well, but then it stopped. And then we also saw JensiiiBot's cool tank behavior with using the range to get good trades there. That was cool. And then we saw just the different strengths of how to approach this, and really the standard approach of consolidating your units for JensiiiBot does work out against MicroMachine when it starts rallying out different kinds of units. And yeah, I think that's going to be everything. I'm also watching MicroMachine's APM, as it's got not a lot of units left. It's literally got 19 SCVs and 120,000 APM. That's like 10,000 APM and SCV. Or I wonder if it's to do with like the guys in this bunker or something. Is that like buggy bunker behavior? These 2 SCVs in there. Who knows? Maybe it's like reloading them. No, I don't think that could be the case. But really interesting behavior here, and I'm curious to see if like when something dies off, what's gonna cause MicroMachine to stop spamming. Like, its APM is going up all the way to the end. So I'm really curious how that works. Like, what it was selecting up until the very end there. But yeah, I'll see you guys, or who knows, that could be a bug with the Starcraft engine. I don't know. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.